For years, our social lives online have all happened in just a few massive digital spaces. But you can probably feel it, right? The ground is shifting. People are looking for new ways to connect, and a whole new internet of smaller, more personal communities is starting to pop up.
So, get this. Way back in 2019, Facebook's own CEO said the future is private. And kind of ironically, he was totally right. Just maybe not in the way he was hoping. We're seeing more and more people move away from those big public town squares and into smaller, more controlled online spaces that they own.
So what does that really look like for you and me? What are the alternatives? And how do they even work? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down this huge shift towards a totally new kind of social internet.
Right now, most of us live inside what people call walled gardens. Think about it. A few giant tech companies own not just the platform, but our social graphs. The actual map of who we're all connected to. They control the entire experience inside those walls.
And this model, well, it's got some problems we all know too well. Our data is the product being sold. These secret algorithms are deciding what we see, and that can be used to manipulate people. And the biggest one? If you want to leave, you lose everything. You have to start your follower count completely from scratch. That feeling of being trapped is a huge reason people are looking for an escape hatch.
Okay, so that's the problem. But there is an alternative. The first one we're going to look at is what I call the federated frontier. It's this growing movement of decentralized, community-run networks that are all about putting the power back in our hands.
The main idea here is something called federation. Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around it is to just think about email, right? You can have a Gmail account, your friend can have a Yahoo account, and you can still talk to each other, no problem. Federated social networks work the exact same way. They're made up of thousands of independent servers that can all talk to each other.
The big one you've probably heard of is Mastodon. It's not one single website. It's a whole network of thousands of independent communities, each with its own vibe, its own rules, but they're all connected. And it's built from the ground up to be ad-free and really focused on user privacy.
Okay, let's get a little geeky for a second, but I promise this is simple. The tech that makes this all work is called ActivityPub, and this picture shows the basic idea perfectly. Every single user gets a digital inbox for getting messages and an outbox for sending them. It's really that straightforward.
All right, let's see this in action. Let's say Alyssa is on one server, and her friend Ben is on a totally different one. When Alyssa posts a message, ActivityPub basically grabs it from her outbox and delivers it right into Ben's inbox on his server. They can talk to each other without ever being on the same website. That right there, that's the magic of federation.
So this gives us two main paths, right? Two ways to get your independence online. On one side, you've got the whole community-run, open source world like Mastodon. That's all about decentralized control. But on the other side, there's a much simpler, more direct approach that's taking off. Privately owned networks that you can basically just spin up as a service.
And that brings us to door number 2, building your very own digital oasis. This is for the person, the community, or even the company that wants total control over their space without having to become a tech genius.
I mean, let's be real. The federated world can feel a little complicated sometimes, right? It can take some technical know-how to get started. So what if you're not a coder? What if you just want your own private space, like right now?
That is exactly where these social network-as-a-service platforms are stepping in. A perfect example is something like Linkspreed, which literally lets anyone create their own private social network in the cloud. You can get it done in minutes, with zero coding required. Really, what this all boils down to is ownership. You're creating a space that is dedicated to your group. It could be for your company, your city, your local club. It doesn't matter. You get a place to connect your people and share knowledge. You set the rules, you control the data, and the best part? You don't have to write a single line of code to do it.
Okay, so whether you're joining a federated network or building your own little island, there's a huge question that hangs over everything. What happens to all the data, all the posts, all the photos you've created over the years? This is the portability problem.
So, to try and fix this, you have laws like the GDPR over in Europe. In theory, this gives you the right to data portability. It means you should be able to take all your stuff from one service and move it to another. It's supposed to give users like us more power.
So when you ask people how they actually want to move their stuff, the answers are pretty interesting. About 45%, almost half, just want the convenience of logging into their old account from the new one. But look at this, almost a third of people would rather download a file and upload it themselves. They want that extra feeling of control and safety over their own data. That idea of a one-click transfer sounds amazing, right? But it's all built on a massive amount of trust. So what happens when that trust gets a little shaky? Okay, now this is fascinating. This chart tells a story about trust. Before they hear about potential errors, most people are like, yeah, sure, I'll use direct transfer. But watch what happens after you tell them that mistakes can happen, that maybe a post gets transferred when it shouldn't. Trust just completely evaporates. The number of people willing to use the feature plummets, and the no crowd skyrockets.
So yeah, data portability is a huge hurdle. But it's definitely not the only one. These new kinds of platforms, for all their promise, face some pretty big challenges before they can really hit the mainstream. This new freedom, it's not exactly free. There are some real hurdles. First, you've got the classic chicken and egg problem. A new network needs people to make it interesting, but people won't join until it's interesting. Second, the complexity can scare some folks away. And finally, moderation. Oh boy. Even in your own private paradise, somebody's got to be the sheriff.
But here's the thing. The goal isn't really about finding one single platform to replace the giants. The real win here is creating a whole ecosystem of choices, where we, as individuals and communities, finally have the power to pick a space that actually works for us.
Which leaves us with this huge question, right? Is the future of our social lives going to be one giant monolithic platform, or is it going to be a million small interconnected communities? The answer is being written as we speak, and that's a future that, for the first time in a long time, we actually get to help build.